All right, so I'm Sean Rose, graduate teaching assistant in the College of Liberal Arts. I'm pursuing a master's degree in public history. And just want to note on this opening slide the fractal imagery as well as the yin yang symbol, both of which will come up a little later on. And I find this meme to be really entertaining. I hope you guys like that. And we'll move forward here. These are just a couple of pictures of me meditating in real life. On the left is I was getting ready to graduate with my bachelor's degree from Augusta University in 2019. So we took a couple of photos there. And on the right side is me at downtown Augusta, Georgia. There's a river walk, and they had this Zen garden with bamboo growing. And I just saw this thing, and I was like, okay, I'm going to jump on top of this and start meditating. So that was a fun day. And we'll move on a bit here. These are, just want to give some background about who I am and my teachers. Again, I'm from Augusta, Georgia. I developed a meditation routine early in life. And then later on and into the present, I combine meditation with exercise in order to enter flow state more reliably. And that concept of flow will come back up a little later on as well. And some influential events that happened in my life were Chant Lanta and ecstatic chant with Bhagavan Das. Both of those were in Atlanta, Georgia. And there were kirtan events. Basically, kirtan means spiritual song. And so people come together and chant various names of God in like Buddhism and Hinduism. And then also I read Ram Dass's Be Here Now. That was a very impactful book about being present in the now moment. And then Darshan with Thich Nhat Hanh. I contributed to his Patreon. He allowed people to donate as little as $1, which was within my budget. So I donated $1, and then he would stream these live talks with people in France and in his village there. So these are spiritual talks. This will come up a little later too. And then we have Sam Harris as a Western neuroscientist and philosopher. His book, Waking Up, and his meditation app are very impactful as well. And then we have Who Am I at the bottom? This is the question from Sri Ramana Maharshi. This was, again, when I read this, it was very impactful and opened my mind. So it's this idea that we are not the body, we are not even our minds. So we are the loving awareness that remains after shirking off all thought forms, labels, and bodily identifications. And this is where the concept of loving awareness is truth, consciousness, and bliss. This is also known as Satchitananda. And then we have the Hindu concept of Bhakti Yoga, which is a practice of loving kindness. And that will come up a little later too. So now we'll move on to mindfulness defined. I'll give some definitions here. Mindfulness is a quality of open senses awareness and feeling in which our body and mind are in sync. And meditation is a synonym for mindfulness. And also self-realization and understanding is a big part of the mindfulness-based awareness. And we also have Dharma, which is our spiritual path or purpose in life. And then toward the bottom here, I have some information on altered traits and the left and right brain hemispheres. I recently learned about this, where the left brain handles approximately 3% of the stimuli that comes into our brain is handled by the left brain, and that's things to do with logic and linear thinking and making connections. And then on the right side is about the other 97%. So it's the vast majority of what we're working with is handled by the right brain, which is creative things, social functions, and other things like that are handled by the right brain. But again, with the concept of mindfulness, it's the two hemispheres are functioning together along with our body being aligned with our mind. And so this brings us to a holistic state of consciousness. And here's a concept of how meditation opens doors of perception in our mind's eye. And in the center here, we have Lao Tzu, who's an ancient Chinese Zen master. And this concept was very impactful. Again, if you're depressed, you're living in the past, ruminating about things that have happened. And if you're anxious, you're living in the future. And definitely for academics, that's where we spend a lot of our time, planning future projects and things that are to come. While if you are at peace, you are living in the present moment. And again, that connects back to Ram Dass's idea of be here now. And then moving on a bit here, this, sorry if this is a little bit messy, but I want to walk through some of this. It's from my sketchbook from the Darshan practice that I had with Thich Nhat Hanh. And the question on the left that's being asked is, who is the person reciting, recollecting, or remembering the Buddha? And then on the right is a practice of how we can transform our suffering into joy and happiness through meditation, because it brings us to a state of stillness and insight, as well as relaxation. And then toward the bottom of that image, you can see the way that we can recognize and embrace our suffering through meditation, rather than running away from it and pretending like it doesn't exist. This is an overarching concept of meditation, and the store consciousness is a Buddhist concept in which we're all connected, is the idea there. And then we'll move on to an umbrella term of pantheism, which is basically stands for reality or life and existence. So it encompasses basically all of the world's religions. And for me, the two most impactful are Buddhism and Hinduism. Under Buddhism, we have the Four Noble Truths, which are life is suffering, the origin of suffering is attachment, and the cessation of suffering is found through letting go of attachment. And the way to do that is through the Eightfold Noble Path. This leads to the renouncement of attachment and the cessation of suffering. The Eightfold Noble Path consists of right concentration through practicing meditation, right mindfulness, which we can do by controlling our thoughts, right view, which is to know the truth, right intention to free the mind of evil, right speech, say nothing harmful, right action, work for the good of others, and right livelihood, which is to respect life, and right effort, which means to resist evil. And then on the right side, we have Hinduism, and there are 4 stages of life, roughly under the Hindu spiritual belief system, which is student, householder, forest dweller, and renunciate. And the big concept for Hinduism is that all living creatures are part and parcel of the universe or God. And meditation is a method to see through Maya, which means the illusory nature of reality. In order to, through the meditation practice, we witness our connection to the universe. So these are, and this is just a couple of visuals. Just wanted to pause here for a moment. And then we'll go forward under the concept of secularism. And to me, my interpretation of this is being spiritual, but not religious. A lot of religion has, lots of baggage, lots of history behind it, wars fought over it. So to me, I connect with spirituality through this concept of pantheism rather than any one specific religion. And so for emotional wellness, this consists of equanimity and tranquility, which we can get through meditation. And then a secular faith, this is sort of my belief system, is a secular faith via the New Age or New Unity movement. And then we have MBSR is mindfulness-based stress reduction, which helps us to be a more effective corporate athlete. That is to work in the knowledge economy, but we have to understand that we need time to rest and to relax. So we can do that through meditation. And then creativity as a spiritual practice brings us emotional well-being. So adult coloring books, drawing, photography, any kind of creativity to me is really a spiritual practice. And then on the right side, we have spiritual wellness, which is purpose, connection, and faith in cosmic forces. We are a tiny part in a much bigger whole, that is a giant mystery of the universe. And also the concept of Sangha, which I got from Thich Nhat Hanh, means spiritual community. And so I appreciate you all for being here and participating in everything. And then the last slide here, we'll talk about the concept of flow, which I mentioned earlier. And this is a state of optimal performance in which we feel our best and perform our best, according to Stephen Kotler, founder of the Flow Research Collective. And then some interesting information on brain waves that I learned recently. Beta waves mean that we are awake. This is our normal waking conscious state. Alpha waves are a little bit below that, which is awake, but we're drowsy. And then delta waves are deep sleep. And then theta waves below that is a signature of deep meditation. And as I mentioned earlier with the book Altered Traits, the argument there is that the state change of meditation can actually lead to a trait change over the long term as we practice more. And then a book that I highly recommend is Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. Recently read this over the winter break, and it was very engaging. And he goes into a lot of historical figures like Winston Churchill and others who were able to get into a state of stillness, and then they were more effective in their profession or life, things, their pursuits that they had. And then lastly, as I've mentioned, mindfulness meditation opens an entryway into flow. So those are just some good concepts there. And then we have resources. I did want to shout out Lauren Ziegler and Mindfulness Mondays. CSU Center for Mindfulness has this series. I think it's on like hiatus right now, but that's a really great series that I've taken part in, and I can highly recommend. And now I wanted to stop the share and just we'll shift into a meditation. And this will be, okay, so we can shift into that now. If you all are comfortable, you can close your eyes, or if you want to keep them open, you can sort of aim them at like a 45-degree angle in front of you. I'm keeping mind of the time, so I'll keep my eyes open. And then we want to take 3 deep breaths as you find a comfortable posture. And this practice is known as Vipassana, and we'll begin to observe the breath at the tip of your nose or at the space of your abdomen as it rises and falls. And as you're observing the breath, you may count or recite inhale, exhale. And when your mind wanders off into thought, as it inevitably will, recognize that and gently bring your awareness back to the breath. And again, if the mind wanders away off to thought, you can notice that and watch the thought as it flows away, and then bring your mind gently back to awareness of the breath. Next, we'll shift slightly into a practice known as Nappasana, which means body scan, as you imagine a pinpoint of light at each part of the body, which I will call out. So we'll begin with a pinpoint of light shining through the crown of your head. Next, we'll move down to the right ear, right shoulder, right elbow, wrist, and to the tip of each of your right fingers. Light shining through the palm of your right hand. Now we'll move back up to the right wrist, elbow, shoulder, and now move over to the left shoulder with light shining through, down to your left elbow, wrist, into the tip of each of your left fingers. Now imagine light shining through the left palm of your left hand. Now back up to the left wrist, elbow, shoulder. Now move over to your torso. Light shining through your abdomen. And down to your right hip, right thigh, right knee, shin, ankle, into the tip of each of your right toes. Now back up to your right shin, knee, and back up to the right hip, or we'll move over to the left hip. Light shining through your left thigh, left knee, left shin, left ankle, down to the tip of each of your left toes. Now move back up to your ankle, left ankle, shin, knee, and light shining through your left hip. Now we'll move up to the abdomen with light shining through, into your torso. From the torso, we'll move up to your chin. Light shining through the nose, forehead, and now back up to the crown of your head. Next, from the crown of your head, we'll move down where we'll rest the pinpoint of light in the space between your eyes, known as the third eye. Now, with light still shining through the third eye, look for the one who is seeing. Briefly. It only takes a glance. And then return to the pinpoint of light shining through your third eye. Now, in the last minute of the session, relax all effort. Now, as we close the meditation session, you can begin to wiggle your toes and fingers as you come back. And I'm happy to answer any questions if you all have any.